Welcome back in. There's new fallout tonight over the prosecution of former Olympian David Hearn, who was accused of vandalizing the reflecting pool, the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. Maryland Representative Jamie Raskin is leading an investigation into the Trump administration's charges and decision to dismiss those charges. Joining us now is Congressman Raskin. Good afternoon, sir. Thanks so much for joining us.
You bet.
Before we ask you about this investigation, you may not have heard of this yet, Congressman. We're just getting word ourselves that the World War II memorial was vandalized within the last few hours with not just soap in the fountain area there, but also some paint. Have you heard anything, or have you heard any buzz about this?
This is the first I'm learning of that. That's disappointing news, and I hope we nail that down quickly. Obviously, we've got the algae farm going on in the reflecting pool. There was illegal graffiti posted on the Kennedy Center, which the court ordered being taken down. And then there was the bulldozing of the East Wing of the White House, all of these attacks on federal monuments and government buildings. And we've got to get away from that and get back to the rule of law.
Well, you know, you're raising some serious questions about whether evidence was withheld and whether an innocent man was wrongly prosecuted as far as the reflecting pool goes. What specifically are you hoping to find in these documents?
Well, already we've got very strong evidence that the U.S. Attorney and the Department of Interior were perfectly well aware that the problem was what they ended up calling a botched installation by the contractor, the pool guy who got the no-bid $15 million government contract. And apparently he's from Mar-a-Lago and Palm Beach, but he got that contract and then kind of ruined the quality of the water and so on. And we believed that both the U.S. Attorney and the Department of Interior knew that that was the real problem. It had nothing to do with Olympian David Hearn dipping his hand into the water, and nonetheless proceeded with a false prosecution. So we want to know exactly what they knew when, and what they were saying about it, and why they proceeded to indict and try to send to prison for 10 years a completely innocent man who happens to be my constituent.
Have you heard anything from the offices of U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro or Secretary of the Interior Doug Burgum?
We haven't heard anything yet, although there was the odd announcement yesterday that they were going to impanel a special grand jury. Most grand juries, you know, will sit on multiple cases. Whatever cases happen to be coming in that week or that day will go to that grand jury. A special grand jury is devoted exclusively to one issue or subject matter, and we don't know, because they haven't announced yet, whether that's the purpose of it, to look at the whole question of what's happening down the reflecting pool, which my constituents are now calling the Strait of Warm Ooze. So maybe there could be, you know, a general investigation into what's going on. Those kinds of grand juries don't have to indict anybody. They can just issue a report. So maybe that's what it's about. Maybe it's something else. It's hard to know. But in any event, I do hope that they will just leave David Hearn alone. He obviously was collateral damage, just roadkill, political roadkill from the standpoint of the administration, but they ended up dropping all of the charges because they knew that there was nothing there. And in fact, the government was perfectly cognizant that the problems came from the contractor in, you know, doing that rushed and botched paint job.
Congressman Raskin, what does this controversy say about how the government is spending taxpayer money on projects and prosecutions like this?
Well, there are two things. I mean, one is obviously the president now seems to be spending most of his time focused on things like gilded ballrooms. They want to build $1 billion ballroom in the place of the East Wing of the White House, which was bulldozed without any congressional consent or participation. You know, they want to do a PGA-style golf course down on Capitol Hill. He wants to create an Arc de Trump, which one court has already determined will disfigure the skyline and the sight views of the Lincoln Memorial and other memorials. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is that the Department of Justice is going out to investigate and prosecute people simply because the president perceives them to be political enemies. And we saw this with James Comey. We saw it with Letitia James. We saw it with 6 of my colleagues in Congress, including Mark Kelly and Adam Schiff and Maggie Goodlander and Jason Crow. So we're seeing both a bizarre fixation on all kinds of aesthetic and architectural design improvements, which the president seems to be obsessed with, and then the deployment of the Department of Justice to attack the perceived political foes of the president. Now, fortunately, a lot of those prosecutions and indictments have been either voided out by grand juries that are doing their job, or dropped by prosecutors, or shut down by judges. But all of it, as you say, seems to be an enormous waste of public resources.
Congressman Raskin, we have to end it there, but we certainly appreciate your time, sir, and speaking to us this afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me.
Take care.